Here, let's see what the average Republican. Let's see what an actual Republican supporting Zohran looks like. An actual Republican that's not really a Republican at all, but just simply embodying whatever the Republican collective hive mind in the chat is saying.
Stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr.
You got my vote. There it is.
There it is.
It's that simple. There's a lot of things I disagree with this guy about, but
like what?
At least
like what? What are the disagreements? What is the well thought out, reasonable disagreements that you have? I want to know. There it is. There it is, dude.
He's actually trying, right? Yeah, he's got the right answer. They're openly saying, yes, we're going to go over to Israel. You think this guy's so horrible? Then stop putting up people that put Israel ahead of the United States. As a show of force and as a show of protest. It's a show of defiance. It is a show of defiance. It is a protest vote. It is a few. It is a no, I'm not going to sit inside.
Tide's shifting, boys. Tide is shifting. Remember, Zohran and I are in agreement on virtually everything. And Asmongold has spent the last year talking about how I should be deported, I should be arrested, I should go to jail permanently, I shouldn't be able to say the things that I'm saying, all this stuff. And now he's like, yep, there it is. I wonder what changed. Perhaps the tides are shifting and someone is recognizing that because they have one ear to the ground always.
Of this little box that you put me in, I'm going to go off the rails, and unless you want to follow me, you're going to lose. Stop giving us candidates that prioritize Israel over New York City. New York City's a PvP server. There's crazy people everywhere in New York City.
What the what? What is, okay, cool. I'm telling you, dude. Yeah, someone that disagrees with you on like 99% of shit, even on Gaza, can agree on Zohran. Interesting. No, there is definitely a growing resentment towards Democrats in particular, but just like all politicians and their unlimited loyalty and support to Israel that is very frustrating to Americans, especially Americans that are experiencing all of this instability, right? If you're an American and you feel like your cities are run like and the only thing that your politicians seemingly care about is Israel, then yeah, of course you're going to be mad. Of course you're going to be like, I don't like this. What the hell is going on? This is dumb as hell. What the hell is this? So I get that. I get that for sure. There is definitely a common Mamdani to Trump voter right here. This is it. Look at this. Working class Hispanic neighborhoods where Zohran Mamdani performed well in the 2025 Democratic primary, they shifted significantly to the right in the 2024 general election. Zohran Mamdani also outperformed Andrew Cuomo in a lot of black neighborhoods as well, like overwhelmingly black neighborhoods, like significantly higher percentage of black people in some neighborhoods in New York than the rest of the country. We're talking like 40%, 40% black neighborhoods. 45% black neighborhoods, and Zohran Mamdani won those districts. He won those neighborhoods. So the idea that oh, black people aren't with him, blah blah blah, all this is stupid. It's fake. It's nonsensical. It's bull. Having said that, there is still definitely a reliable older boomer voting bloc, especially in places like New York, that is overwhelmingly going to go for the establishment pick, whatever the establishment pick is, whatever the television is saying is like the good choice here. And they definitely went for Cuomo, but it wasn't enough to carry him across the finish line. And Zohran was able to basically pick enough voters from that constituency. But having said that, I think those guys will go for the Democrat. They're straight ticket Democrat voters, reliable Democrat voters. And I highly doubt Andrew Cuomo and all of the media initiatives that might back Andrew Cuomo, all the moneyed interests that might back Andrew Cuomo are going to be able to turn around and get those voters to vote for an independent line when they have been straight ticket, straight line Democrat voters. Remember, These guys are Democrat machine turnout voters, okay? Very, very difficult to take them off the pro-Democrat ticket. This was something that I always talked about. If Bernie was to ever be able to make it out the primary, where the Democrat machine turnout will work against him, all of those votes that are reliable blue votes would always vote for him anyway. Those are the people who vote for Kamala Harris, or those are the people who vote for Joe Biden because they're told to vote for Joe Biden. Those are the real vote blue no matter who people. And the real vote blue no matter who people are not going to stray away. They're not going to get off the Democrat ticket, which is like the argument I always made is this. There is a likelihood that someone who voted for Bernie Sanders might not vote for Joe Biden. Okay. That's not a given, but there is no likelihood. There is no likelihood whatsoever that someone who voted for Joe Biden in the primaries is not going to vote for Bernie Sanders in the general. None. The notion that people are going to say, nah, this guy's too progressive for me, can't do it, that does not exist in the establishment Democrat turnout machine. Wouldn't be so sure in municipal politics where another Dem is running. Remember India Walton? No, that's different. You're talking about an incumbent mayor in Buffalo. Okay? You're talking about an incumbent mayor in Buffalo. That's very different. It's a much, much easier one to tackle. Zohran has national prominence at this point, and New York is like 70-30 Democrat. New York City specifically is 70-30 Democrat. All of the establishment Democrats that might go to Andrew Cuomo won't go to Andrew Cuomo if he's not on if he's not on the Democrat ticket. There will be some, but I don't think it'll be enough to move the needle. That's my point. A big part of why the incumbent mayor who's running on the independent ticket is deeply unpopular is also because he is pro-Trump. He is now basically working at the behest of Trump because he is compromised. Ironically enough, Andrew Cuomo is also just as compromised as Eric Adams is. So all of these reasons are why Zohran's chances are fairly decent. Now, this doesn't mean that Zohran can do this alone, especially if the establishment Democrat and all of the media work against them actively from this point on until the general. Obviously, that will make the chances much harder. But having said that, I think as long as the Democrat machine doesn't try to over Zohran, things will be good. But having said that, I have seen a little bit of that. I have seen a little bit of that Zohran stuff happening. Like one of the best examples that the Democrats might actually still him. Okay, one of the examples that I would use is the fact that a lot of the Democrats in New York are just congratulating him on his victory, but not endorsing him. Okay, that's a little bit dangerous. Daniel Goldman is a good example of this. Okay, his district went to Zohran. Daniel Goldman came out and said this. Assemblymember Zohran Mamdani ran an energized campaign that elevated the most pressing issues facing our city, affordability and the cost of living. Yesterday, Zohran and I met to discuss those issues that we agree on, as well as other critical ones where we do not. Zohran and I share a desire to lift up vulnerable New Yorkers and make the city more affordable and safe. To that end, I explain why the Jewish New Yorkers feel unsafe in the city, and that as he continues his campaign, he must not only condemn anti-Jewish hate and calls for violence, but make clear that as mayor, he would take proactive steps to protect all New Yorkers and make us secure. Something that Zohran has mentioned far too much, more than he should. Okay, more than he should. He shouldn't have to constantly talk about how he's going to protect all Jews. I'm sorry. Like, that's a policy that he has. He has an anti-Semitism task force that he wants to fund. Great. I don't have an issue with that. But at a certain point, if this is the only point that you want him to drive home over and over again, it's pretty obvious that this is a racist point of contention that you have. He has made his position clear. Okay? Not only has he made his position clear, but Daniel Goldman's constituents have heard his position and have obviously responded positively to it. Not sure how many more times Zohran Mamdani has to say those exact words over and over again. Dan, I guess you aren't willing to support the Democratic nominee. Our district has spoken. I hope you listen. I appreciate Zohran's willingness to reach out to me, to engage, and to listen, and I look forward to continuing the dialogue about our mutual desire to move this city in a positive direction. Yeah, he wants to do 800% increase in hate crime prevention funding. It's not just about anti-Semitism. It's about across the board everything, okay? The problem is a lot of the pro-Israel crowd understands that when you say you want to do 800% increase in hate crime prevention, that doesn't mean the type of quote-unquote hate crime prevention you want to do, which is the ADL-style hate crime prevention, which is not even a real hate crime prevention initiative at all. It's just simply finding people that say, even jokingly, oh, it's white boy Sharia summer, or New York City is going to be implementing Sharia law, and then going, you have to go to jail. That's a hate crime. Why? Because it made me fearful, because I'm racist and Islamophobic. That's the problem for a lot of these people. For a lot of these people, when they say, oh, he doesn't care about anti-Semitism, that's not the case. They know he cares about anti-Semitism. They care about anti-Israel sentiment. He doesn't care enough about anti-Israel sentiment. He doesn't want, he represents anti-Israel sentiment. And that's unacceptable for a lot of these dudes. That's what it is. Dan Goldman is paid to help manufacture an anti-Semitism crisis in America. Primary Dan Goldman. Yeah, look at this. From 2023 to 2024, okay, the anti-Israel and anti-Zionist sentiment were added on in 2023 after October 7. Okay, the ADL's anti-Semitism report data is out there. You can literally find this on your own. And back in the day, the ADL would not so nefariously and so cynically add all different kinds of anti-Zionist sentiments into the ADL anti-Semitism report. Okay, New York's 10th congressional district, by the way, represented by Congressman Dan Goldman, went to Mamdani by 46%, 64,000 votes. Cuomo only got 23%, and Brad Lander, who literally is Zohran Mamdani's cross endorser, that Brad Lander also got another 23% of the vote. So this is like an overwhelming Zohran Mamdani victory for the district. We don't know what the final vote tabulation looks like, because we won't know until until this upcoming Tuesday how many people actually voted for Zohran in ranked choice voting. But even on the first round, this is a blowout, right? The idea that this incredibly progressive district that is represented by Dan Goldman is somehow fearful of Zohran Mamdani is so idiotic. It's so stupid. It's so ridiculous. It's so cynical. Nobody believes this shit. And remember, when the ADL, the Apartheid Defense League, that calls itself the Anti-Defamation League, but it is only predisposed with defending Israel, okay? I mean, openly. When they talk about like hate crimes increasing 7 million% or whatever the fuck year over year, this is what they're talking about. It is because they added on anti-Zionist sentiment to those numbers. Just remember that. It is complete. This isn't to say, what the Hi, Hasan. I'm a new viewer from Denmark. I did see some videos lately from Ethan. I mean, I just watched the Content Nuke the other day. Seems there's a lot of time you said something proven wrong. That aside, seems you don't agree with the whole lawsuit because it's close to you. Wouldn't you have reacted different if you had nothing to do with it? No, but thank you. Hello, please respond. I watch Content Nuke. You seem proven wrong. Thank you. If you stick around and have an open mind, you will realize that that's not the case. Or maybe you could watch my takedown of the context puke. But as I was stating, these numbers are base boosted specifically to create additional fear, additional media cycles around like anti-Semitism exploding in the country, which is interesting because anti-Semitism has increased in this country. Anti-Semitism always increases around the time when Israel is engaging in some violent actions against the Palestinians and simultaneously talking about how they're doing this for Jewish people at the behest of Jewish people. Okay, there is no reason to add this additional silliness.